What's up, guys? How we doing? Today I want to go over a stretching routine for tight hamstrings, hip pinching, and by that I mean especially this front bit of the hip in here. You feel like you get this kind of cramping, pinching pain. And generally, this routine will help to improve kicking dexterity, flexibility for grappling, especially things like butterfly guard and positions that require a bit more flexibility. This isn't by any means a full stretching routine. It's like a miniature routine that you could add into your stretching that you already have that works on a couple of key specific areas in terms of your hips, your quads, and your hamstrings. So I'm gonna break it down bit by bit, follow through if you want to, and let's get it going. Let's get some space. Right. The main concept of this is that we're gonna start from this on knee position. So on one knee here, and the idea being that I'm gonna start by stretching this front hip. So what we're gonna do from this position, I'm gonna take this back leg and I'm gonna start extending it out behind me. Now, as if I was roundhouse kicking the floor. So foot down in that position. This leg is bent almost at 90 degrees, but I want my toes and I want my foot slightly in front of my knee so that I'm not doing loads of excessive pressure over on my knee. We'll talk about knees over toe guy another day for this one. So once I've got this position, I'm gonna try to bring myself up here onto my knee, and my focus now is on driving my hip down into the ground. So I'm visualizing and I'm thinking about pushing this hip down, and I wanna feel a deep stretch all up this side of my body. Now I can lean away from it, so I'm leaning towards these windows to try and extend the stretch even further. But for most people, just being in this position will be enough, and that idea of driving that hip down into the floor is gonna be plenty. So depending on how long you have, 30 seconds, a minute, hold this stretch. And then we're gonna transition into the second stretch, which is gonna be for this front leg. So what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna bring this back leg slightly across, okay? And then I'm gonna sit back down on that leg. So I don't know how well you can see this from the camera, but I am sat on my foot. I've got my ankle again still folded out, and I'm sitting on it. Now, if you've got really tight ankles, you might struggle to get this position, in which case, just take the foot out and sit down on the floor. But if you've got this position, if you're able to do this, then you might just want to work on that for a bit just to get that ankle flexibility. But what it does is, it slightly elevates this lead leg, this front side. And all that really allows us to do is activate this hamstring stretch a lot earlier. And what that means is, I don't need to arch my back too much to start getting that stretch on. Keep the leg straight. You can apply very light pressure above your knee, and I mean very light. We're not pressing by any means. All I'm trying to do is ensure that this doesn't happen. No knee bending. So straight leg, and then bend at the hips, stretch down, and you're gonna feel that activate on the back of the leg. A word of warning about any what's called like forward stretching like this. You really want to focus on hip hinging. And what I mean by that is, I really want to try to bend at the hip. What I don't want to do is arch my back. So notice what happened there. I'm going to hip hinge all the way. So hip hinge, this is all hip. Now from here, I can't hip hinge much further, but in order to convince myself that I'm going deeper in the stretch, I might start bending my back to get my head to my knee. But I'm not really putting any more stretch onto this leg. All I'm doing is curving my back and putting unnecessary pressure on my lower back and on my mid back, my thoracic. There's no need. So really focus on just hip hinging, and you're gonna feel that engage nice and quickly. Again, hold that stretch. If you can reach your toes, use it for a bit of leverage, or the heel, or the ankle, or just have hands either side. And then the final stage of this process, we're gonna combine the two stretches into a forward split. So I'm gonna take that front leg out in front, I'm gonna take that back leg out behind, and I'm basically now gonna work on getting this heel to go forward and getting this knee to go backwards. I want to have a hand either side of the leg, so I don't want both hands over here. I don't want both hands over there, because I want even weight distribution down through my hips. Now, here I'm leaning quite far forward, but ideally, we want to come a bit more upright. I feel like my head is disappearing out of frame, but you get the idea, because then gravity and my weight is sinking down through the middle. Now, if you struggle with that position, you can get like a yoga block or some focus pads, something to put on your hands here to help you support it so that you can be in this upright position and supported. But if you can get to this point where you can almost load the stretch a bit with your own weight and a bit of gravity, then that's going to really help you. Now notice, I don't have by any means a full split here. I've never been super flexible, but doing this routine has really helped to keep my hamstrings loose, keep my hips nice and loose, and allow me to at least be able to kick head height, if not even higher. So I'm gonna come out. Now, once you've done that routine, obviously, we wanna rotate to the other side, and we wanna repeat that process. So I'm just gonna go through it a lot quicker on this side, just to go through the steps again. Knee up, foot down, hands on the floor, extend that leg back like we're kicking the ground, hands in. Then I come up onto the leg, drive that hip down into the floor. Second stretch, bring that leg across and in, sit down on that foot if you can. If not, bring it out to the side, but if you can, put the weight down on that ankle, give that ankle a good stretch while we're at it. Slightly elevated leg, straight, very light pressure above the knee, if at all. Grab the toes for leverage, stretch down and in, focus on hip hinge, don't do too much. Back flexion, not necessary, not helping the stretch, just helping your ego, which we don't want to do right now. Extend that front leg out. Extend that back leg out, full front split stretch, one arm either side, working on getting that heel forward, working on getting that knee back. Start in this forward position, but work on elevating yourself, straightening up and holding through the middle. Use supports, yoga blocks, pads, something that you can hold on to get that middle position. Come out safely, bring your arms on the inside. Step that front leg back and move back out of that position. Now, like I said, guys, that's not a full stretching routine. You could do that, it would be great. But what I mean for you to do with that is to add it into what you've already got. If you already do some box splits, if you already do some seated splits, but you know you just got these tight hamstrings and you need to address it directly, that's a little routine you can add. You could, for example, do 1 minute on each of those stretches. Give yourself a few seconds in between to transition, and you've got about 7-8 minutes worth of stretching going on there with those 3 positions on either side, time to transition in between safely. So you could double that up to get a deeper stretch. You could shorten it and just turn it into like a little 5 minute at the end of your workout stretch. Always stretch when you're warm. So wait till the end of your workout to do your stretching routine. You can stretch daily. Daily stretching is great, but what I recommend is try to have 2 different routines so that you're not overtraining, because you can overtrain with stretching too, the same muscle group. So for example, on day 1, 3, and 5, I might do a more side split focused routine. So a bit more focused on this direction with my legs. And then on days 2, 4, 6, resting on the 7th day, a more front facing, so that stuff that we just spoke about today on the alternative days. That way, you're giving certain muscle groups a chance to relax, you're letting other muscle groups work in the meantime. Guys, I hope this video has been helpful. If it has, I'd really appreciate it if you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Welcome to the training area if you haven't been already. This is where we're going to be recording a lot of our active content, stretching routines, bag work drills. I'm gonna get some partners in so that we can show you some partner drills, Dutch drills, sparring bits, fight breakdowns, etc. I'm really excited. We've got loads coming to the channel, and I will see you on the next one.